us something. We're learning stuff here. We're learning ways of getting our thing down. It should be coming on here any second. Hi, happy, joy. Did you have a great holiday season? Oh, I have to put the volume down. Look, we're watching ourselves. It's weird. It's a Twilight Zone thing. Hi, we're standing in front of our Christmas tree. We hardly spend any time upstairs here, but it's the only place we have room for a Christmas tree. What are you gonna do? Hope everyone's okay. We're just kind of hanging out. You know, we were thinking of doing this on what, New Year's, Christmas Eve.
Yeah, you want to do it on Christmas Eve, and I'm just like, people usually, are hanging out just with their, well, of course, with COVID, their immediate families right now.
And then we were going to do it on Christmas Day, and I'm hungry all day. I got to eat. Want to eat.
And by that time, we've had turkey on our second, third day in a row.
Yeah, we get turkey breast from Safeway, and they give us good stuff. And anyway, we can only get it on Christmas Eve because Christmas Day, of course, they're closed down. So that's what we were doing. Anyway, hi everybody. Anybody want to chat with us? Hey, this might end up being one of those weird chats that we were going to have on Christmas Eve where there was no one around.
We're just gonna be super quiet.
Be very, very quiet. Anyway, hi everyone. I hope everyone's doing okay. It's been the strangest freaking year ever. We've lost a lot of people. We're not surprised by that because of the type of year. I mean, if you had COVID on top of aging rock stars, most of which we will lose in the next 20 years, you add that, and it's a crazy experience. So, Shannon's got an earache tonight.
I have no idea. I've been fighting off a little bit of a cold, but feeling better now.
But someone's talking to us.
I miss Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah. Did you see that, what is it, a GIF or a meme or what? It's a meme where Eddie's holding a piece of paper. He says, I miss you guys too, but all you have to do is, press play or something. The thing is, we have the music, and you can't, they say what causes pain, not accepting what is. It's difficult with Eddie Van Halen because he was like, when George Michael died, I know totally different genres, but when George Michael died, I think everyone was so surprised. When Lennon died was the ultimate example of, he's not supposed to go now. When Keith Moon died, everyone went,
Hello to the both of you. So happy to see you both live. Happy, safe New Year. And I miss Tony Lewis.
Yeah, there's been a lot. Tony was another big surprise, but I hadn't thought of Tony Lewis in a while. I bought those first few albums from the band, really enjoyed them. It's strange. A lot of people didn't, everyone, when I said he reminded me of Brad Delp, the production in that band reminded me of Boston a little bit, even though they weren't really there was Boston stuff in there.
Also, Scott Weiland too, wasn't surprised.
Well, when he passed away, yeah, that was a little while ago, but I was just listening to some of their stuff the other day going, man, because I wasn't a big grungy, or a 90s band in general fan. That's where I met Shannon. I met Shannon in 97.
It's a long time ago.
I know, honey. We should trade each other in for new ones. What? No, she'd probably trade me in for 320s. And you'd probably be very successful.
230s. Come on.
No. Yeah, you could handle it. What? What did he say?
Someone said, I miss Prince.
Prince, good example. Very good example. Another huge gargantuan surprise of people. What? Prince can't die. Michael Jackson, that was a little different because we knew something was going on with Michael Jackson, but he was such a big star that, again, I remember we were running up here, the sofa was here, we were typing, we had the Rock History book website back then, which was hacked, and then we decided to let it go. Hackers.
Do you think Bob Dylan will die in 2021?
Oh, I don't know. I could die in 2021. You could die. Anybody. We don't know. I'm just joking, of course, but that's kind of hard. I have to put this down a little bit because no one can see Shani.
I'm an Acropop Kids fan, and Nolan Gibbons was their beatboxer who will be missed. Do you know?
No, don't know who that is.
Happy New Year's, guys.
Happy New Year.
Rock on from Biggles, Perth, Western Australia.
Let's try to give if the user. Some of you guys have usernames that are like they sound like Ubel Skrabelnik, where we can't make them out because it's just like EG 85.7 kiss 38, and that's how can you say that in a straight face? Hi, beautiful boy. Oh, look what we got for you. Starring. Look at this guy. What was a movie you were watching today with the dogs? You ever notice that some dogs will watch TV, but most dogs will not watch TV?
I think it was A Dog's Way Home or something.
Chase, what was the name of the movie you watched today? He's got A Dog's Way Home, or? Yeah, anyway, Shannon and Chase, our son, he edits all our interviews, every one of the interviews.
We were crying.
I know.
It's like a kid's
movie. I just fell asleep upstairs. But anyway, this is a cockapoo, which is what?
This is a 3/4 poodle and a 1/4 cocker spaniel.
And he watched TV for a little while because he heard the dogs go. Mm-hmm. He is the most lovable, beautiful. Okay, you can look at the screen. Look, there he is. He doesn't know what to look at. He said, "What's my role here? What's my role here?" Went to the. We always wanted to do a rescue dog, but we can't because we have an autistic daughter, and we have to make sure we know what we're getting. It has to be a puppy, and so we have 2 sweeties.
So Dennis Wilson of the Beach Boys passed away today in 1983.
That was a shock.
Hi, John. Big fan of your channel. John and Shannon.
No usernames?
Kieran Phillips. Hi, John. Big fan of your channel.
Thank you.
Darren says, John and Shannon, did any of you or the family get music items for Christmas?
We got, we don't give each other things for Christmas because when we need something, we just buy it. It's not like we're rich or anything, but if we just bought like a NAS system downstairs, and it was very expensive to archive our interviews. Then we just bought it. It's the price of a car.
Kieran says, love all your interviews, particularly Simon Phillips and John Anderson.
I was curious. Thank you for that. I was almost, and I've got Simon's phone number. His publicist or someone, I don't know how I got that interview. I do too many interviews to lose track. I was tempted to text him again and just to wish him a happy birthday and Merry Christmas. I don't know what's the holiday again?
Chris says, I love your Christmas tree. Thank you, Chris. Move out of the way, Johnny.
Oh, I'm getting out of the way. I must get out of the way. There's nothing else in this room that's Christmassy.
No, just
this is our son's room. He edits all the interviews on his Mac right there. That's where every single interview gets edited. Every one of them. Oops, we're too close.
I've met Simon once. He's a great guy.
You have to come over here, Cookie.
Oh, you pushed me right out.
I call her Cookie.
I also miss Falco, which was a shock for him dying in a car accident.
I don't remember that. I remember Falco because I was in the 80s. I was getting into radio. I did. If you would have asked me today if he's still alive, I would have said, yes. I forgot.
Hello from Oklahoma. Love
Falco,
your channel.
putting on the Ritz, right? Putting on the Ritz?
I think so.
Is that putting on the Ritz, right? Because I played it on the radio with Nena and all that stuff from the 80s.
So sorry. Stacy says, hello from Oklahoma. Love your channel so much.
Thanks,
Also,
Stace.
M. Moses, I love the Randy Meisner interview.
Oh, you know what? I'm so bad when it comes to putting things up. I'll promise to put something up. We were going to put the whole thing up with the exception. I always have to preface this by saying, with the exception of a few things, you just said, don't include that, and we could never include it. New interviews now, when someone says that, we just cut it out. So that in case I get hit by a bus and Shannon sells my interviews, at least that will never be, we want to honor the musicians.
Vinyl Dad is asking, hey John and family, what was your first concert and would see them again? Happy New Year's from Ontario, Canada.
Hey,
P.S.
Ontario.
I love the channel.
Hey, have you subscribed? We'll answer the question. Please subscribe to Rock History Canada, because a lot of Canadians are doing that. Not that we're not going to put those interviews on here, but like to answer your question, the first concert I went to was Abraham's Children. I think they were from Ontario, and they just had a few minor hits. Goddess of Nature, was that them? Anyway.
Oh, putting on the Ritz, that's taco, someone
Yeah,
said.
it is. Yeah. So anyway, let's just say I did an interview with if there's any members still alive. I would put it on Rock History Canada because no one in the U.S. would know who they are, and I wouldn't do that to my U.S. fans. I mean, if it wasn't for our U.S. fans, rock history music would not make it. We have a lot of fans in Europe, but we thank we have a lot more, obviously, in the U.S. than we do in Canada. So that's why we built Rock History Canada, not to alienate anybody in the U.S. with an interview from someone they never would have heard of in a million years. Even though a lot of Canadian acts have crossed over.
Hi, I'm Chris from Charleston, West Virginia. Did you
Hey, Chris.
all have a good Christmas?
Quiet.
Very quiet. With this whole COVID pandemic happening right now, we were asked to just keep things just to your immediate family. So it was quiet.
We thought of cheating for about 5 minutes of going, well, we know we're safe. We know her parents are safe. And then we went, yeah, we're not going to do that. We're not going to do that. And her parents only go out for food, and they're incredibly careful, and they're elderly, of course. And but we thought, no, we're not going to do that. Chase met a girl, our son, during COVID, and she's just went through some medical stuff, and we thought, well, she's so safe, she doesn't go anywhere. But again, we thought, no. And they miss each other, and they're a really tight, good couple. For 17-year-olds, they're amazing. Amazing.
Let's jump back for a second. So what was your first concert?
Abraham's Children. No, I mentioned it. What about yours?
Ooh,
Do you remember?
First concert.
How old do you think you would have been?
Young, really young.
By the way, Shannon was 10 years old when I graduated high school. I did not date her then.
First concert? Oh, I don't know. Like maybe way back in the day, it might have been like Platinum Blonde or something that we saw.
Oh, that would have been. How much of our friends in the U.S. know Platinum Blonde?
That was like ages ago.
I've never looked if they had a crossover hit in the U.S., and I've never interviewed them. I'm just kind of curious if anybody.
Greetings from Brooklyn, New York. From
Hey,
James.
Brooklyn, right on.
Jim here from Pittsburgh. Happy New Year's and hoping great health for you guys in 2021.
Thank you.
Was hoping for that Dan Peak interview for Christmas.
See, there's an example
Any
of that.
chance in 2021? Look at you're making them accountable.
Well, I got that Kringle. What's that? Crinkle. What's the name of that software? And then John Zeka, who is Bobby Kimball's producer, took a stab at it, along with the Andrew Gold, along with the Ravi Shankar, and along with, there was one more, Dave Brubeck. All interviews that were done around the same time. A lot of dead people in there. And they all have a big phone hum. Phone hum's hard to take out. John Zeka tackled the Andrew Gold, I think. And when he brought it back to me, and trust me, I mean, he's a great producer, it sounded a little hollow, but he's busy, and he says he'll take another stab at it. And if he gets it right, we'll do Dan Peak. You know, Dan Peak's brother contacted me because he heard my Jerry Beckley. Jerry Beckley? I don't know why. Anyway, interview of America, and he said, "Well, you know, Dan should have his point of view in there." And I went, "Oh, of course, you know." And I remember telling Jerry Beckley. He says, "Yeah, sure. What? I don't care if you do that. Not that I needed permission from Jerry, but I was in contact with him at the time. That's why."
Vaz 22, we sure lost a lot of rock and roll legends in 2020.
Crazy.
Many I heard here first on this channel. I cried when Eddie Money died. I saw him 3 times in concert.
You know, I interviewed him, but I never saw him. I interviewed him for a short promotional clip in the 80s, and then this was the second time, but it was a real interview the second time because he had to do some promos for a station I worked at, or I forget why. And so I talked to him a little bit on the phone. Eddie was a shocker, but Eddie had a hard life. He lived a rock and roll lifestyle.
Any more Steve Hackett interviews on the way, John? Happy holidays
This
from
would be
Crazy
this.
Prague.
This would be, sorry to interrupt you. This would be the 6th or 7th. The album's being released in January, so they may give. Usually, I don't know why with Steve. Steve knew. I was surprised. After about 3 interviews, he said, "John, of course I know who you are. I've seen your videos." And I'm going, I didn't think he did that. But so just before Christmas, I talked to him again, and he came on camera, as you probably saw. And he was so incredibly pleasant. Steve Hackett is one of my favorite people to interview. And as everyone said, with the comments that he's a really classy guy. He was a little short with me with the first interview, and I went, okay, I need a Genesis thing. You think they'll ever get back together? And he said something. He says, okay, like that. And then he apologized. He says, no, I've done a lot of interviews. I'm really, really sorry. And after that, the interview was done. And he was so nice. And every time I've talked to him, it's just been like talking to like just he's a beautiful, beautiful human being. I love the man. I love him. These two dogs are
Great
funny.
live chat you did on Eddie Van Halen.
That got over 50,000 hits, and that's our biggest live chat because Eddie, and I don't like to, again, everyone's saying, why don't you do the top Van Halen songs, or the dogs are going to hit this, and all this stuff, and I went, I don't want to milk this. I mean, it's, everyone's always saying, when we do an obituary, people always go, you guys shouldn't monetize your videos. I'm going, well, wait a minute, like, come on. So everything's free when someone's dead? We don't do that. Why would we do that? And then, so we did the live chat because people needed to chat. And one thing I'm well versed in death. Long story. And I knew I was able to talk about it.
From William Nelson, do you think the music business has historically been biased against Canadian musicians? Lots of British bands, not much from Canada. Why?
No, the Real Music Observer goes on and does the conspiracy theory against, and that's just to get hits. I mean, that's ridiculous. I don't believe that. I don't believe, the Canadian musicians had Canadian content, CanCon as we call it, and they've been given a huge advantage in their own country. I can't name a lot of people who shouldn't have been played in Canada even because of Canadian content, because I'm a Canadian content fan. I love Canadian music a lot. The dogs are literally under the tripod right now, wanting to fight with each other. That's the noise you're hearing. So I don't believe in conspiracy theories for the industry's fight against. I roll my eyes when I see that. This is the other guy. Okay, this is the other guy. You saw the other dog? This guy's a Havanese. He's a little overweight, and he's very protective of this lady.
He's had a really good Christmas, didn't you? Yes.
Yeah. What?
What?
And they bark a lot. They like to bark. What?
This is the big barker, this one.
He can smell my supper. Hey, no. You're not coming up here. No, now he wants to come up.
So John, who was your funniest interview? We need a good laugh to send this year off.
Funny?
Yeah.
Oh, there've been a few where we a Canadian band. The hell is that? It'll come to me. Oh God, it'll come to me. We had a lot of fun, but most of my interviews aren't fun. As much as I'm a total clown off camera, like a crazy, like I'm always making her laugh, and for whatever reason, because I'm a broadcaster and I've chosen not to do that, especially with the stations I work at, that when I get into broadcasting mode, I don't try to be funny. And it's strange because my friends always say, my God, why are you so serious when you do your videos? I'm going, that's a side of me. And they said, no, we've seen that side of you. But how come you're not funny? And I'm going, I don't know. Maybe I don't know how to be funny on camera and stuff. So my interviews tend not to be funny. What's the name of the band? God, I can't believe I forgot their names.
It'll come to you.
Yeah.
Kieran says, loved your chat with Liberty DeVito too. Great stories. Really,
more of that coming up.
Really appreciate all the work you put into all your videos.
You know what? If it wasn't for Chase, our 17-year-old son, I can't edit myself. I don't like watching myself. I'll say stuff to artists, then I'll go, oh, God, why did I say that? I'm my own worst enemy. And when I ask a question, I have a tendency to go, which is something I would never do on the air. Never. That's just a golden rule. You don't do that kind of stuff. But in interviews, I let my guard down, and it also lets them open up if I'm kind of like horse poo-poo all over the road. There's something about that helps artists just kind of forget they're being interviewed. And plus, I don't have a big radio voice, so that probably helps.
Randy's asking, any chance of a Dewey Bunnell interview?
A Dewey Bunnell. Mm-hmm. I've never tried to get Dewey, but I heard his horse has no name. What? First time I heard Dewey Bunnell sing. I should try, then I could say I've interviewed all three. And I have a really good connection with Jerry Beckley through Henry Diltz. Henry Dilt's a photographer who did some America covers, but he's most known for the Crosby, Stills and Nash first album, the Doors, Doors Motel, the first few Eagles albums, especially the first one. Desperado he did. Oh, we've got a super chat. Thank you. Thank you. Who's that from?
Snowman. Happy New Year and many blessings to the Beaudin family.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Wilmington, Delaware. I will miss Neil Peart.
Yeah. You said Neil Peart right.
Thanks.
Our son is such a big. Oh, I'm going to take it out. Just watch. This is I've shown you this before. Here's the Neil Peart. Andy Curran from Anthem Records, and of course he's a rocker in Canada too. Sent Chase these drumsticks. Hold on, I'll go get it. You can ask me some more questions, Cookie.
So Kirk Johnson said, "I loved your channel too. Top shelf. You remind me of myself."
Well, thank you.
And he lost his fiancée December 18th.
Oh my! Do you mind us asking what happened? Is she
That was from Kevin Browning.
I'm so sorry.
And thank you for sharing.
Just before.
Sorry to hear that.
Just before Christmas. Man. Not that we lost my brother on December 9th, quite a few years ago, before I even met Shannon. We lost my dad before Christmas and New Year. And it changes the holidays forever. But on some levels, my mother says, even though she won't, someone super chat us again?
No.
Okay. It's difficult. When I see that, I just want to pay attention because, especially with the super chat, it means we're giving you money. Please read my, and you don't have to, but thank you. It changes the holidays for you when you lose someone around the holidays. It's always painted differently. Not necessarily always bad. It's a time for, I mean, it sounds cliche, but reflection, right?
Kevin said COVID at age 48.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Listen, I'm so incredibly sorry. We've known people with COVID. All of them were, well, even younger than both of us, in their 40s. And it just depends sometimes. Yeah. The circumstance. I'm so sorry.
So sorry to hear that, Kevin. That's super tragic.
And reach out anytime, through our Facebook page. You want to chat, just please do. Please do. Or email me anytime at johnbeaudin@icloud.com. Please.
Final Dad, you should try doing an interview with Grace Slick.
She doesn't do interviews. She's not really, well, she won't come on camera. And I never look at anyone, because Grace has changed an awful lot, but we all have, right? I remember I wasn't the 60s Jefferson Airplane person. I was, of course, the 70s Miracles, Marty Ballin, Grace Slick, Papa John Creech. Remember all those people in Red Octopus. That's the Grace Slick I knew. That's somebody to love, or, Okay. There they are. Drumsticks. Neil Peart. He used them in concert. And Chase has them on his wall. Every little rivet on there was done by Neil. Every little rivet on that. Anyway, he used them. Andy Curran saw Chase play. Just look up Chase Rush Tom Sawyer. You'll see he's 9 years old and he's doing it on an electric kit. Even though now he only drums on. He doesn't even have the electric kit anymore. He did this Tom Sawyer and then Toto Rosanna. It's on that page. It's on the Aircom radio page. Anyway, Chase came in top 10 across the country. And Anthem Records saw it. Neil Peart saw it. And Andy sent through Neil these sticks. There you go.
I don't know, Kevin, if you're on still or if you've had a chance to look at the live chat here when you can kind of see in the feed, but there's quite a few people wishing you well and prayers to you, Kevin, and so sorry for your loss and their condolences for what's happened.
I can't even imagine. I can't imagine. Like we always say here, if Shannon got this, it wouldn't be good because she's autoimmune she's immune compromised. Her dad has an autoimmune issue as well. Uh, Chase gets asthma when he gets a cold. He has to take a puffer, but only then. But let's think about it. We all have those situations, pre-existing conditions. It's like AIDS. AIDS didn't kill everybody. It was an opportunistic infection. It was always pneumonia or something, but it was something else. Tragic. Sorry to hear that. But I'm glad you mentioned it, right? Because right now you gave it a lot of us perspective who are listening, as far as, count your blessings. It's that time of the year, man.
It is.
And 2021 in the beginning will not be much better, but it will slowly become a year that's better than the way it started, right?
And Snowman said, I lost my brother on October 4th from ALS. And also loving kindness, his brother passed on December 16th. So there's a...
I had a friend of a friend on Facebook who was talking about losing his sister to ALS. And that decline that's a tough road. So we hear you. I always appreciate it when, not that, I remember we were talking about this on one of our feeds and someone said, oh, let's not get down now. I'm going, no, but what goes up must come down. Those polarities of happy, sad. We don't know happiness unless we've gone through licking the floor with pain, as I said in a book I wrote once, which was too self-indulgent to ever release because it was just, oh my God. But I used to always say, well, how you doing? I'm licking the floor with pain. Of going, I couldn't get off the floor because I was in such bad shape from breakups and divorces. Well, one divorce. I think she's going to keep me. I'm pretty sure she's not said it.
Well, I'm 23 years in here, so I think I'll probably keep around for quite a bit longer.
To clarify, she was 10 when I graduated in 79, but she was 27 and I was 37.
I was 26 and he was 37.
Oh, thanks for the super chat, Greg.
Thanks, Greg. Just to go back here first, I love your channel, John. If you could interview anybody from any time period, who would it be?
I just want to interview Paul McCartney. If anybody knows Paul McCartney, listen, Elton John is my favorite all-time artist. Mm-hmm. And I've interviewed Bruce Hornsby twice, who I really love. I don't know why they will not let me interview him again. It's strange. He's interviewing people with like 300 subscribers. I don't know. I don't understand it. And I've promoted every album he's ever done, but since I don't know what album it was. It was in the 90s. Since I interviewed him in the studio once. And on the phone, and I can't seem to get him again. So Paul McCartney would be hands down. Ringo would be good.
Have you listened to McCartney 3?
Yeah. I like it. I like the fact that he played, well, in keeping with the McCartney name of those albums, he played everything on it. Remember the crazy saying? It says, is Ringo the best drummer in the world? And they'd say, well, he's not even the best drummer in the Beatles, because they were always talking about, that's not true. But Paul can, of course, play multiple instruments.
John, have you ever interviewed Glenn Frey, and what did you think about his musical influence?
No, but I interviewed Jack Temchin, who was a songwriting partner, and his brother, Alan. I'm in constant contact with Alan Frey, quite a bit. Alan lived a rock and roll lifestyle just like his brother. But Glenn, I never tried to get. When I interviewed Randy Meisner, there wasn't a thought in my mind, and I'm friends on Facebook with Don Henley's wife, but of course I can't say, oh, hi, can I talk to your husband? That's just very uncool. You don't do that. If she offered, hey, Don Henley's kind of bored, because Don Henley's my favorite Eagle. He always has been. This is a funny story. When I saw the Eagles' big picture in the back of one of these nights, I immediately, and I was 15, for whatever reason, decided that the guy who sang the Don Henley parts, I decided it was Glenn Frey. I thought, that must be the guy who sounds like that. I don't know why I decided that. So until like a few months in, until a friend of mine said, no, that's Glenn Frey. He sings those other songs. Okay. Blind eyes.
let's see here, sorry. What's your definition of a standard?
You mean like a standard for jazz? Because that's usually.
Just asking, Randy asked, what's your definition of a standard?
I don't know. Not in rock and roll. I don't know. You know, to me, a standard in rock and roll would be like Hotel California. You know, would be like Pinball Wizard by the Who, and Elton. I actually like Elton John's version a lot more.
Imagine if you did an interview with the 27 Club, Janis Joplin, Jimi Hendrix, Jimmy Morrison, Brian Jones, Alan Wilson, Amy Winehouse, and Pigpen.
The weird thing about the 27 Club is whenever I hear a story and I talk to someone, John Hall of Orleans, Henry Diltz, who I talked to someone who knew her, who actually knew her, you know, and there's a part of me that said, oh, I wish you would have just sat, and that's not their fault. They wouldn't have done that. It'd be silly. I've just sat Janis Joplin down and just say, you're beautiful. You're just so beautiful. It's just going to be okay. It's just, you're just, you know, but she obviously had some issues. I just found she was beautiful. There was just something so beautiful about her. And I know not in the traditional sense. I feel that about Marilyn Monroe, even though she was beautiful in the traditional sense. That, you know, and no, I don't know if she was murdered. I don't, that's not, the conspiracy theories are always ready to come out. I'm not a big conspiracy theorist guy.
Fortnite, I miss Rick Ocasek, Benjamin Orr of the Cars. At least they are both rocking in heaven.
They are, and it's weird. They lost their two lead singers. You know, that when Ben Orr died, that was really shocking to me. You know, we used to call him in radio. We used to call him the good-looking guy. You know, because he was easily the best-looking guy in the band, and you know, girls loved him. Incredibly talented. And it's Rick Ocasek. Even though everyone says it your way.
Okay, so
everyone says it your way.
Okay. The collaborators of the big acts or the lesser known acts seem to have more interesting stories to tell about the creative process of music. This is from Duran.
Sometimes. I think sometimes when you get really, really big, when I was doing jazz, well, smooth jazz in this case, I interviewed Dave Koz, and I remember thinking, and Dave and I got along really well because we used to air his program and he knew who I was, and I interviewed him a few times. But I remember thinking about Dave Koz, Jim Brickman was like that too, where they just had it down pat. They just had their answers. Boney James was another one that you just go, I don't know if I'm going to get a lot of stuff out of it. And I really liked them, all of them. But I remember thinking, God, they've just got it. They've been doing it for so long. They've just got it down pat. And I don't know if you're going to get anything out of the ordinary. So, and they were big in their genre, so it's all relative, right? They're not like a big artist in rock and roll. But there's a part of me going, you know, the format is so homogenized, and I stopped doing smooth jazz because it was just killing me, even though the bulk of the big artists I thought were pretty good. But I made a lot of money in that format. And then, you know, it was Shannon that said, you know, you sure you should be doing this kind of, you sure you want to continue doing this? I said, well, I like 30. I change my mind every day about it. I like 30%. She says, well, that's not a high degree. You're a rocker. You've always been a rocker. And so I went back to it.
Hey, John, imagine doing an interview with AC/DC and talk about their new album.
I would say yes to it. I'm not the biggest AC/DC fan, but I know enough about the band that, you know, I've been surrounded by AC/DC fans to, you know, I was one of those guys you say, oh, everything sounds the same. And then I'd meet another friend and I'd go, what the heck? You know, it's kind of like a commercial on TV. After a while, you keep seeing it or a new artist or a new whatever. Every time you turn around, you see them in a different area and you go, maybe I should pay attention. And AC/DC was really a band like that, where I run into people who musically I had a lot of respect for. And then whenever I turn around, they'd say, well, you know, I really like this band. I'm going, what? The AC/DC is a great rock band. They just are. Doesn't matter if they're not on my A-list, but.
So, John, what are your thoughts about Big Wreck, surprisingly unknown in the U.S.?
That's a band I've never been a big fan of, really. And a lot of my friends, actually Kim Mitchell and I talked about Big Rick, don't know much about them, you know. So don't have a lot to say. But they've come up in interviews where people say, my nose always runs when I'm doing interviews, when I'm doing live broadcasts. I'm not sure why.
Hi, Rob from Chicago. Have you ever interviewed Mickey DeLenz or Mike
Yeah, of the Monkees,
Yeah.
Mickey Dolenz.
or Mike Ninsmith?
No. I tried getting an interview with them in the 80s when they were, I don't know what they were doing. I forget what it was. We used to, there was a guy named Dave Welsh, incredibly talented radio guy. Really, really, we never mixed very well in the beginning when we first met him, but when we first met each other, but I have so much respect for him, and I get along with him really well now. I mean, we've all grown up. He's one of those guys that did interviews and made them very interesting. And then Steve Burgess, who was my best friend at the first radio station, we've grown quite apart now, but I've so much respect for him. Like, we're not fighting or anything. None of these guys I was fighting with. He was really good, and I did interviews, and maybe a few more people. So we all kind of split it up, and at that point, I got the good straw, and it was me trying to go after the interview, but it never happened. Well, two of them are still around, so.
From Front Row Events, who is the one interview that got away? The one you wish you had done?
Well, there's a lot that I had that were canceled. I remember Harry Connick Jr. I thought was a cool guy, and he was doing movies at the time. He canceled his interview. Roger Moore canceled his interview.
Those would have been good.
Those would have been good. Okay, who else? There was a few that it'll come to me. That the interview was just canceled. They didn't feel like doing it, and it's okay. Oh, someone just super chatted us, I think.
Oh, from Greg. Thank you, Greg.
Thanks, Greg. You rock, Greg.
I still would love to see an interview with Meatloaf, if at all possible, from Pammy M.
Well, I talked to a few people who worked with Meatloaf, who had good experiences with him. Like when Bat Out of Hell came out in the 70s, I was one of the last guys to buy it, but I had it on cassette. The guy brought it over and I, taped it, or 8-track. I think I put it on 8-track. I had a recordable 8-track. And that's never my A-list or B or even C-list kind of music, but I have a lot of respect for that kind of theatrical kind of rock. It's not my bag necessarily, but man, I always found that that's hard to do well, and he does it well. Him and Jim Steinman.
Greg says, just a heads up, Courtney Hadwin should have 5 new tunes out early in 2021. They should be great.
Let me see. I don't know who that is. Who is that? That name doesn't even sound familiar. I'm not big on new music, even though every time I see someone on YouTube posting a video of something that I don't recognize, I'll always click on it, especially if it looks like it's old. Because we've all have holes in our, especially the old stuff. There's not enough time. I say this all the time, but if you complain about music, you don't have enough time to go on some streaming software and listen to everything that you missed. You don't have enough years. I don't care if you're 12. You don't have enough years. There's too much music.
Randy says, how about interviewing John McPhee from the Doobie Brothers?
John McPhee was hamming it up during the farewell tour of the Doobies. Remember, he was in that last lineup, One Step Closer lineup. And of course, he's back with them now. But I had this little camera, remember that looked like the little flat ones? And I was taking pictures, and I was in, I think, the, I don't know what row, but close enough. And, no, I had actually a 35 millimeter camera. That's what it was. I forget stuff. And he kept hamming it up. And he'd look right at the camera. I have to show you these pictures. I still have them. They're in a photo album downstairs. And John was the guy and I couldn't see Michael McDonald the whole concert because of where we were situated. I heard him, but I couldn't see him. So I actually never saw Michael McDonald on stage. Isn't that weird? Only at the end when they all got up and said, bye. Yeah, I should track him down. I was promised an interview with Patrick Simmons and Tom Johnston quite a while ago, but they said, can you wait till the new album comes out? But they said, yes, we'll give you an interview with both. Can I do them separately? And the lady said, yes, you can do them separately.
Maddie K says, who from the Wrecking Crew session players have you known and interviewed?
None of them. No, none of them. I remember Glenn Campbell, who was there a short time. His daughter, I forget his daughter's name, the banjo player. I communicated with her before her dad died. I always felt bad about Glenn Campbell because I did his obituary because someone called me and said, Glenn Campbell's dying. You need to get on this, blah, blah, blah. And I did it. And I felt bad because, in radio, we're taught if someone's on their way out, you've got to get the obituary done. You got to get it done. At least write it out so you're ready, And I've done that before in radio, but I felt it weird doing Glenn Campbell's obituary video when he wasn't dead yet, excuse me. And he died when we were in the middle of a highway, in the middle of nowhere. We heard it on an AM radio that he had died, and I remember going, there's karma for you. John Beaudin, you doing an obituary for someone who's not dead.
Oh, just an FYI, that girl Courtney Hadwin was Howie Mandel's America's Got Talent's Golden Buzzer from 2018.
Oh, yeah. We haven't watched that.
We have watched it before.
But we didn't. We watched it maybe the first 2 seasons. Who's the country guy? Blake what? Who's the country guy? Blake? Gwen Stefani, if they're really
Blake Sheldon, but
I can't watch. And then
I thought he was from The Voice.
Oh, what America's Got Talent, you said?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'm getting mixed up. No, America's Got Talent we watched. I don't remember her, though. I might remember her if I saw her.
So
I got it mixed up with The Voice.
Which interview guest surprised you the most? Someone who turned out to be really different than what you'd imagine.
Andy Kim just did him. Andy Kim was one of the greatest interviews I've ever done. He was a deep guy. I love Andy Kim, and I'm looking forward to I should be able to interview him again, because after the interview, he called the publicist who set us up, and he said, I loved talking to that guy. That was a great interview. It was only a phoner, and I've still not put it up all up yet. But he talked about Rock Me Gently and singing, writing for the Archies and excuse me. And when he changed his name to Baron Longfellow in the 80s, and that song Amour. Andy Kim, amazing deep guy, just a wonderful man. God.
Ken asks, what has been the most surprising answer that you have asked during an interview, or one that has stood out for your resume of interviews? Hope you're all looking forward to 2021.
Thank you. John Anderson, when he says yes was not that good in the last year. Bill Champlin, who I just talked to before Christmas, we were trying to set up an interview. Bill texted me and he said, well, we're going to Texas, so let's talk after Christmas. Yeah, it's cool, have fun, man. Him and Tamara. And I think their son, who's a singer, he was on The Voice or America's Got Talent with them. But anyway, Bill Champlin had said, well, Chicago treated me like crap, and that was surprising. And an old interview with Peter Cetera, which I didn't do, but I inherited from Steve Burgess, where Peter Cetera talks about Chicago's new version of 250624. And he says, was that necessary? Why'd they have to do that? And he talks about the new album because he had just heard the new album without him. And I found that was a great clip, but that was an old clip, of course. And he talked about the Karate Kid in that interview and working with David Foster and Michael Omardian, who produced that big album.
From Seba Prince Feely. Hey, John, what do you think of the Duran 80s project, Arcadia? What do you think of their songs?
She's a bigger fan of there was a radio station in Edmonton where I started. I was lucky enough to start in a major market, which hurt me because I wasn't good enough to start in a major market, so I had to work it. But I heard K97 ran, actually before I got into radio, they ran this live in Edmonton concert with Duran. I think it was from Edmonton. And I couldn't believe how good they were. They were live and they were so good. I went, my God, this band is tight. And I still got the recording someplace, which is probably easily available online someplace. But I'm not familiar with their albums. I never bought their albums. I like that last album, from 5 years ago. Remember, we liked that album. It's so weird. I remember going, I'm listening. I was going to review it because a record company sent me a copy of the album, and I was going to review it, and I ended up not reviewing it, and I'm not sure why, but I liked it.
Tobin is asking, a band that should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but are currently not there.
Well, there's so many of them, right? I mean, we just talked to Kathy Valentine of the Go-Go's, and and her take was, well, we'll get there. I hope we're all around when we get there. And I said, well, at least all of you guys, because you're playing together right now, all 5 of you, can go on stage and perform. And she said, well, on a good day, yeah, if we're still talking, because it changes all the time with this band. I'd like to see a few Canadian bands get in there. You know, there's a lot of people in Canada. I think that, you know, a band that's really underrated is April Wine. April Wine's my favorite Canadian band of all time. I love April Wine. Miles Goodwin's talent is just incredible. You know, he's a national treasure. I mean, we had he was in a bad mood when I interviewed him, but man, I have so much respect for him. I mean, he was drinking back then, so. But I love that band. But I don't know, I don't think they'll ever get in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You never know.
So Vinyl Dad says, imagine if John had an interview with David Gilmour, Nick Mason from Pink Floyd.
Well, they're not a band, so I don't know if they would be separate interviews, right? I just friended one of the guys who plays with Nick Mason in his new project. That Saucer Full of Secrets project. And he just asked me to be friends. And I checked him out because I always have to check if the person's like a conspiracy theorist or like far right-wing person where I'm going to get like conspiracy stuff every day. That's just too much drama for me. So I always check out the person if they want to be friends. And by the way, if anybody wants to be friends with me on Facebook, that's cool. But if your Facebook page just has, it's so blocked with, you can't see anything, I can't friend you. I'm sorry. Nothing personal. I don't know you. I'd like to get to know you, but. By the way, we have a Patreon, is it Patreon, is that how you say it, thing happening in the new year. I just feel weird about it, but, well, the reason is I'd like to do, things we could do with people who watch our videos, but I'm not sure what it's going to look like. If anybody wants to help me with that, feel free to get a hold of me at the Rock History Music Facebook page.
Celtic Girl says, I love Nightwish. I hope you can interview Floor. Do you know who Nightwish is?
I have no idea who that is. I know Night Noise, speaking of Celtic music. But Nightwish would be a rock Celtic band. I get a lot of I get chances every single day to interview new artists. And when I put a new artist on Rock History Music, I'll get 300 hits, if I'm lucky. And the people don't come to Rock History Music for that. That's why we have a new channel called My Chill, but that's mostly for kind of up and coming singer-songwriters. We have a URL called frash.com, like Frash, Phrash. We're thinking of doing new rock music on that because Frash, it sounds like that.
Loving Kindness says, you have done so many interviews. Are you keeping track of how many so far?
Well, that's why we got the NAS system, the multiple hard drive system server to put them all in there. And Chase, our 17-year-old son, basically chops them all up and said, make sure you if we talk about the Beatles, you have to put that in the title of the clip so that if we ever try to find them, we can do. So let's just do 20 artists talking about the Beatles or whatever, or funniest things that happened to them on stage. So yeah, I've got every interview I've ever done. Okay. Except Miles Goodwin, I don't know where that one is. It's in the house someplace.
So let's back up for a second here. Maddie K, USA, had asked you about Big Wreck, and you said you didn't know who that was.
No, I know who Big Wreck is.
Okay, so please note that the Wrecking Crew and Big Wreck are very different things.
No.
But she wants to know who from the Wrecking Crew sessions players have you known and interviewed?
I've never interviewed anybody I'm pretty sure I've never interviewed anybody. I'm almost positive. My brain, though, and I've said this before in live chats, I was having a conversation with my ex-wife, Lynn, and we love my ex-wife and her husband, Chris. But one day I was talking to her. Once a year, we'll talk for about an hour. We share 2 kids together. And the only girlfriend I ever had that Lynn liked and she was right, was Shannon. She said, good luck holding on to that. And I thought, well, she's my ex-wife, she's supposed to say that. But anyway, I was talking to her one day, and I've told this story before, sorry if you heard it. And I said something about the cars, and Lynn said, but John, we've seen the cars. And I went, wow. So I compartmentalize things. It's like Richard Marx. Sometimes I forget I've seen Richard Marx, even though I love the concert. Remember, that was a great concert. Mm-hmm. Just him and his guitar and his piano. But sometimes, depending upon times in my life, I'll compartmentalize them not as concerts, but as something else. I don't know why that is. And you might think for someone who does what I do, that's kind of scary. It doesn't happen a lot. So I might wake up in the middle of the night and say, oh my God, I've interviewed, but not a lot of them. And I'm not familiar with a lot of them, you know, and hence the fact that they're the Wrecking Crew and they're not getting the recognition they deserve. I've certainly seen the documentary. What's the one I just saw with Liberty DeVito? I forget what it's. See, again, I forgot what the name. It was the night before I interviewed Liberty. Actually, we both interviewed Liberty on live stream. He was very nice, but I know he's not part of that. But
Loving Kindness said you do some great tribute videos on artists that pass. Mostly I find out about them from you. Thank you so much for your fine work. By the way, you have a lovely wife.
Thank you.
Thanks.
She is kind of cute.
Have you ever interviewed Eric Carmen? That would be a different interview, I would think.
If you've ever seen me record downstairs in my studio, which is very dark, not when I have stuff flying around me in the background, which is the green screen, there's two reel-to-reels there. One of them has an Eric Carmen 1975 interview done by my first program director, Len Houston. And Len gave me that interview. And Len, I remember checking to see the quality, and Len obviously put his interviews in a good place because all mine sound like we have to bake the interviews, and that's just so overwhelming for me. And we have so many new interviews we can't keep up with. It's hard for us to go back to probably 100, 200 interviews that are old we need to put up. At one point, I even went up in front of all the reel-to-reels, hey, we're going to put all these up. And I really quickly after that realized I don't have the manpower to do that. But we're going to have to do it. So figure a way. Hi, dog. Dog's
yeah,
right
I've got our dog right on my lap here.
I was not calling my wife a dog.
Darren,
no one would.
Darren, John and Shan, do you ever have days when you get tired of the subject of music?
Where is he? No, where is he? There he is. See, there's a dog. No, I'm. Shannon loves music. Shannon plays music all the time in her car. She'll go to the garage and I'll wave goodbye to her when she works. And she'll have to stop and program.
Plugging into Spotify.
Yeah, plugging her playlist in. And so she's very selective but she likes a lot of newer music. The music I play at the radio station I work at Move 103.
And I like a lot of the 80s stuff.
Yeah, that's your generation.
Some 90s stuff, that's kind of my generation, so quite a bit of that. John, how much time and research do you spend on an artist before an interview? And that's from Vaz22.
Almost exclusively, that's 2-3 hours before the interview. Almost always. So it's fresh in my mind. If you see my interviews, sometimes people say, why are you looking at your phone? I'm not. I'm looking at my notes. I'm doing an interview.
And I can agree to that because if we go out, we do something, goes, okay, I have this interview at this time. I need 2-3 hours to prepare.
Yeah.
And that's kind of,
even if it's an artist that I know incredibly well.
Even if it's someone that you know really well, he wants to be that much more sharp with it. So.
Well, you don't want to miss the pink elephant question, right? Not that has to be asked, but I think that a lot of you, if you listen to an interview and you know, and I'm sure it's happened, you go, why didn't he ask that? You don't want to miss that, you know. And if you interview a Genesis member, you have to ask, will they ever get back together? And people will say, stop beating a dead horse. I have to ask the question. And those kind of questions are also the ones that get not 3,000 hits, they'll get 75,000 hits just for asking that damn question that's been asked over and over again.
Donnie says his favorite Canadian band for him was Loverboy.
I interviewed Mike Reno.
And by the way, Mike Renoski, he graduated from my high school in Penticton, BC. I think he graduated in 78 or 79. But he was up on the wall, and I just thought that was kind of cool.
After that, he joined Moxie.
Yeah.
He joined the band Moxie under the name Mike Renoski. And then he and Paul Dean, I think it was a Calgary thing. They met here in Calgary, and they got together. There you go. Mike Reno, one of the funniest guys I've ever interviewed. And he makes fun of himself, the fact that he can't fit in those leather pants anymore, but he still has them or something. I forget. Well, we took a picture together and he was a
I
delightful man. Oh, yeah, it was here in Cal. He was just a delightful man, just funny. And he said, I don't know why, but Ann Wilson doesn't want to sing Almost Paradise with me. I don't know if he said that on camera, on video or not. He said, I keep asking her to sing the song and let's go sing it someplace. And so I said, do you have a falling out? He said, no, I don't know. She's too busy. I don't know what's going on.
John, who is your favorite new artist of today?
Well, you'll be surprised. Probably Dua Lipa, as far as that generation of people I play on the radio.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, okay, she's not hard on the eyes. No, she doesn't. She never gets jealous. I always watch even go, look at that girl. Shannon will go, that girl's beautiful. And we do the same thing the opposite way. But anyway, I love Dua Lipa's music. And I don't like a lot of artists of that ilk, but I love her. There's a long one that just came.
Yeah. Do you ever listen to the album Little Village with John Haidt,
John Hyatt.
Nick Lowe, and Ry Cooder?
Ry Cooder. No, I don't know it. But the artists of that ilk, I did not play on the radio a lot. I'm trying to think if I've ever played John Haidt on the radio. Ry Cooder, Get Rhythm, the Johnny Cash song. I played that on the radio. I know that's not what you were asking me, but sometimes if I don't play something on the radio, I don't. Now it's different because I voice track my radio show in Vancouver. It's not done live.
Pammy M says, hey, I've not seen an interview with a woman yet. What's up with that?
With
LOL.
who?
A woman yet. What's up with that? LOL.
And I don't get a lot of, well, in our new channel, we just interviewed a whole bunch of new artists that are all women, every single one of them. They're all young. But yeah, I don't get a lot of, we don't go after interviews a lot. They come to us. Do you want to interview this person? Sure. Shannon's going to be working with me a little bit more in the next year. And Shannon's the cold call queen. She sells nice homes, big fancy homes. She's not a realtor, but she works for a home company. And she cold calls people, and I couldn't cold call. I could never do that. But she's not shy. You're not scared. She's getting finish the file kind of girl. She likes to.
We like to say we like to close the file.
Close the file. That's it.
John, did you ever expect Whitney Houston to pass away at the age of 48?
I don't think anybody did. In spite of her lifestyle.
Well, yeah, and then of course, then her daughter passed on.
And then didn't the boyfriend die?
Then
her boyfriend
husband.
died.
Yeah, but her husband, which was Bobby Brown.
Well, he's not dead.
No, but one of his children died.
Yeah, but that was their son, was? Oh, wait a minute. I remember.
It's a very tangled web.
Yeah, especially with them. You have to turn it. Oh yeah, you can get it that way. You can get it that way or turn it around. Hold on, let me see. We're looking at the. Oh, there you go. You're back on track. That's crazy.
But oh my gosh, I'm gonna need even stronger glasses to see this writing here.
Yeah, Shannon's eyesight's worse than me, but I'd rather trade eyesights if I could look as good and as young and as vibrant as her.
Well, when you get this old and you have to wear readers over contacts, that's an issue. So
that's why I don't wear contacts.
That's why I have all these different readers, because they're cheap and yeah. Have you ever done an interview with the band Dream Theater?
No, I like that kind of music. I don't love it, but I like it. It's quite progressive, of course, right? Or bands like Spock's Beard. Well, I interviewed one of their members, and just that kind of music doesn't do that well on this channel. When I started YouTube, I started going, YouTube's for young people. And so I don't know if I want to do this. And then Shannon says, yeah, but if you're going to do classic rock, you're going to be talking to people who are your own age. They're your people. You guys all grew up together, or if they're a little older, they'll appreciate your knowledge of music and, all this stuff. And I went, oh yeah, of course. That's how my brain works. She said, you're going to be talking to your people. All these people could be your friends. You guys could all talk. And I always feel that way about all of you, right? So when I stick to classic rock, Sometimes people from the 50s, rare, because a lot of them have passed, and 60s too. But 70s and 80s seems to be a sweet spot for this channel.
From Dwayne, what inspired you to become a DJ?
There was a guy named, excuse me, I grew up in a place called, I was born in Montreal, but we moved in the year of Expo 67 to New Brunswick in a French community because my name is Beaudin, but I stopped speaking French because I was a middle child trying to lose his French accent to get into radio. That went over really well in my family, but that's a true story. That's why I don't have a French accent at all. And the rest of my family, they all have French accents when they talk, and Eastern Canadian accents. They all sound like they're French, you can tell. And I'm the middle child, so I'm the different one in my family. I'm different than everybody else in my family. So Rod Butcher, who died in a car accident years later, came to our school to record our grade 5 or 6 choir. And I noticed all the girls. I was an incredibly shy and insecure kid, really scared of my shadow, scared of the dark, scared of everything. Dracula, the devil. And he went there, and all the girls in the class were just like fawning over him, going, "Oh my God, this is so exciting. We're all going to be, the Christmas choir at Christmas small town radio." And then, and he was really nice. I said, "Oh, this must be a really cool job, And he knew how to talk to me because he knew I was really shy. And I actually asked him about his career. So he talked to me a little bit, and then he came to record something else, and I saw him in the hallway, and he came right up to me again. When I was in high school, our house burnt down, and we lived in an apartment, and my little brother ran upstairs one day. He said, oh my God, there's this DJ who lives downstairs," because he knew how it was important at that point. I really wanted to be a radio announcer, so I got to know that DJ who lived downstairs, who reintroduced me to Rod Butcher, who was still working at the radio station. That guy's name was Jim Matheson. And so I kind of hung out with Rod Butcher a little bit, and he remembered me, which was cool. And then I wrote this big thing about Rod Butcher helping me be my influence to be in radio. And his daughter's maid of honor saw it. And then his daughter wrote me this really nice piece saying, "Thank you so much for saying such nice things about my dad." So that's how I got into radio.
Do you think live music will come back?
Yep. Late 2021. I don't think it'll happen in the summer.
And Tim is asking, do you think records vinyl production has got out of control with reissues, box sets, colored, etc.?
Well, it's lasted so long that I'd say it's more than a fad, and it's a cool thing. There's something intrinsically, like kind of touching the music, touching the vinyl. There's something about that that's quite, it's like nothing else. I've still got my Akai top of the line turntable from quartz lock turntable from 1979. It was the best Akai turntable they sold, and I think I got it for $3.99 on sale. Still got it, works perfectly fine. Never done anything to it. Never reconditioned it. Still works. Hi, Henny.
Sorry, it lagged here. David says, "Hey John, it's Dave. Hello, Shannon.
Hi, Dave.
I'm a music fanatic. Music has been my longest relationship, still going. LOL.
Well put.
Anywho, have you ever interviewed any members of KISS?"
No, and I've never tried. I have a love-hate relationship with
haven't
KISS.
tried.
No, never have. The closest I got was there was a summer camp. You know how Gene Simmons does there's all these. They bring in Gene Simmons and a few other rockers. And at one point, I talked to the promoter of it. He contacted me through somebody else who had seen Chase drum, and Chase didn't see. I said, "Hey man, you could say you jammed with Gene Simmons," and I think he was 10 at the time, and he went, "Yeah, that's not really my kind of music." But anyway, I used to Kiss Alive I had, and when I bought Kiss Alive 1, I went and bought Dress to Kill, and all those other albums, the self-titled debut. I bought all that, and I ended with Destroyer. I never bought another album after Destroyer. Detroit Rock City, man. I never bought. My musical taste became a little bit more sophisticated, but I've always had listen, it's like AC/DC in a way. I like AC/DC more. I don't know if I do. So many people in my life have loved KISS that after a while you start going, the sales tell you everything. The following, the branding, that's amazing. Talk about branding, God.
From James, did you interview the Pretenders? One of my favorite guitarists is James Honeyman Scott.
She saw them in concert. She forgot about it, though. I think she was drinking that night.
No, it wasn't.
You went
But
with your sister.
I did. We went to see them.
Did you walk 1,000 miles?
No, but that was probably one of the few songs I actually knew.
What's the name of that slow song from that album? What would you do if... what was the name of that? That's such a beautiful song. I used to play it when I was programming new age and jazz because it fit right in. That was a beautiful song. I haven't heard that in ages. Okay, what else have we got?
Floyd the Barber. Last time you did one of these, I'm thinking it's one of these
Live things.
live things.
Yeah.
You wondered about the song Ariel. Have you ever tried to track down Dean Friedman?
Oh my God. Oh God, we gotta write this down. I didn't write it down before. Hold on a second.
Funny.
Thank you so much because
Thanks,
I thought,
Floyd. That was funny.
Oh my God, I've got to, hold on, thank you. I've got to write it down. This is so crazy. That's been in my head, that crazy song. Hold on. Gotta get a pen.
That is too funny. I don't come on that often, but when I do, but that was one time that I was on with him, and I do remember that. So that's a good memory, Floyd. And no, as you can tell, he's gone to grab a pen and paper, so he has no idea.
That is crazy that he mentioned that. Thank you so much.
He's running up the stairs and he's thanking you right now, so.
That is kooky. I was just thinking about that. I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning and that damn song was in my head again. And I went, oh God, I've got to go back and listen to the stream to figure out what the song is. And I go, thank you. You're a lifesaver. It's like we're in sync. What the hell? Hi, doggy. He needs to be on her lap at all times.
All of us old fogies need to stick together, right, John?
Yeah. Oh, the memory thing has been pretty good, but I only notice it on live streams where I have to come up with the name. I still can't think of that Canadian band we were talking about a while ago.
So Floyd also asked, do you ever watch any other YouTube music artist interviewers? You're one of a few for me.
No, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I don't really. Rick Beato, I'll be sent videos of his. I think he's amazing. I think he's really good at what he does, and he's a musician. I'm a musician too. I'm a drummer, but not on that level. And I don't listen to anybody else. There was a guy that I talked to before, the guy who talks about Steve Perry all the time. I forget his name. If you're watching, no disrespect, he wrote me a nice letter. I'd like to have him on. It's just a question of timing. But I don't watch. And of course, the guy with the dark glasses. People send me his videos sometimes, and I have to tell them individually, please stop sending me videos of this guy. He just spreads rumors. He doesn't have any inside information. Why? Because he doesn't freaking hardly ever interview anybody if he had so much inside information. So, but people send me his videos, and I have to tell them, if you keep sending me his videos, I'm going to unfriend you. I don't want to watch his videos. Every time I'll click on it because you don't know it's him, I'll go, like that. No, I don't want to watch him. But everyone else is pretty good. There's that the Sea of Tranquility guy. He's amazing. I like him. But I don't watch his videos because in radio, I never listen to my competition ever, so I don't do that. What?
From Tim, you mentioned your turntable. So old guy to old guy, what do you have for 2-channel music components, John? What do you got?
I don't have a lot of everyone. I was thinking of getting, the Sansui G series, from the late 80s, late 70s, early 80s. But the problem with that series, G2000 or whatever they're called, is they're so incredibly expensive. So what I've decided to do, even though I've had a few Radio Shack receivers, I've never had an STA, a high STA 2000 or something. So what I'm going to do is in the next year, because they're like 1/3 the price. An STA 2000 you can get a receiver from Realistic. You can get for like $700. Even a reconditioned one for $700. So that's what I'm going to do. It's a bigger bang for your buck. I've got a good turntable. I've got clip speakers right here behind me. They're fairly good. But I think I'm going to get a set of JBLs. And everyone talk. I know I sound generic because these are all the things that people always mention. Marantz, I'm not. I never liked the look of Marantz amps. Everyone say get a good Marantz. I've never liked the look of them. I don't know why. Just you either like something or you don't. What about you? What do you got? Tell me what you got. If anybody got some vintage stuff, tell us because I love.
He loves that stuff.
I'm a member of all the vintage.
He loves it.
And of course, I've got that three. I've got three different reel-to-reels. You know, so the Studer is the one that one just went up on auction on eBay for $10,000, and mine was in better condition than that guy's. So that's the only thing that's worth a lot. I should sell that and get a Sansui.
So, Dwayne, what's your favorite food memory from your childhood?
Okay, you tell me, what's yours?
Favorite food memory?
We're not foodies, either one of us.
Not
But
really.
we like the same kind of. Shannon will eat. Well, no, I'm not gonna say you're fussier than I am. But I grew up a lumberjack's son, so I'll eat everything. What's your favorite? Your mom's cheesecake. She'll eat cheesecake and then she can't breathe.
Oh, because I'm allergic. Because I just have a problem with dairy. But it was so good. My mom made this incredible cherry cheesecake. It's actually a cold cheesecake that you kind of put Jello in it, but it sits in the fridge and it's got cherries on top with the glaze, and it is fabulous.
We have to meet them outside the door. We exchanged presents. It was weird. We were all wearing masks.
Yeah, it was so strange.
You guys all know that.
Yeah.
So.
John, you do such a great job of interviewing folks. You were so well prepared. That was from Greg. Fiddler says, John, do you remember the group Wax, who released Right Between the Eyes? And sadly, one of the members and the lead singer, Andrew Gold, passed away.
Oh, Wax with Graham Gouldman. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, Graham Gouldman and Andrew Gold. Yeah.
Yep.
I interviewed Andrew Gold. We were talking about that a while ago. And I interviewed Graham Gouldman. I interviewed both of them. So there you go. I interviewed Wax.
And, okay.
Yeah, I talk to Andrew's wife now and then on Facebook. She wants the interview because they're doing I've never given an interview to a documentary, but that's his wife. So
When did you
interview Andrew Gold in Vancouver? So I'm not sure what era it would have been. I just contacted him through his website. He said sure, and we talked about his mother. You know, because I'd just seen her in concert. I think that's before I met you. And yeah, good interview. But it got phone hum on it, and I've got to figure out. I get so overwhelmed with interviews, it's hard for me to go back into old interviews and do something with them, knowing that, because I have to look, I'm doing an interview with Andrew Gold. That's not a main player on my channel. And I don't mean disrespect to him because I love him. I always have to look at that of going, how much time am I going to put into this? Can I afford to do this right now? I go in chunks. I'll work really hard for a couple of weeks. Then sometimes I don't do an interview. Even though there's videos coming out, I've done them when I was going crazy and they're all timed out, right? I get burnt out.
Johnny asked, do the two of you constantly talk about music?
No, God, no.
No.
We hardly ever. We talk about interviews now and then. Well, I don't talk about my interviews, hardly ever. I don't come up and... my way of saying I've interviewed someone, I just want to tell someone, which doesn't happen a lot. Like I'll talk about my interviews with my younger brother, but I don't tell him every interview I've done because you have to understand it's my job, you know? So I don't always feel like, oh, guess who I interviewed? I'm not that type of guy. My brother will mention them, you know, but I've learned also not to mention something unless someone asks. Like if I'm at a party, I don't want to go around saying, if someone asks what I do, I'll tell them. I've learned that through being in radio. You don't want, I'll say, what do you do? I'm a broadcaster. Don't say anything else. That's all. I mean, I've talked about this with other broadcasters. You don't go around saying, well, I'm a broadcaster at QMFM in Vancouver. I host this. Shut up. They don't care. They're the boss. Reputation is someone else's business. You sound like you're bragging. Shut the hell up. You know, all that stuff. What's that like? Oh, I like it. It's a lot of fun. Have you met some important people? Everyone always says that. I said, oh yeah, I've talked to a lot of. And then ask them if they want to know who they are. You really have to do that Because you've all met people who are like, and I'm a notorious name dropper in interviews. When I do interviews, I'll name drop. That's the only time I name drop is when I'm doing an interview. It's bad sometimes, but they don't mind because they're big stars too. They don't look at it and go, "Oh, aren't you special?" Well, the person I'm interviewing is special.
What's your thoughts on Steve Gadd, the drummer?
I've interviewed Steve. He was tough to interview, even though he's not a tough interview. We were talking about the Gadabouts, and I thought Edie Brickell, who was singing for the Gadabouts at that time, was going to be on Paul Simon's wife. What I am and what I... Edie Brickell. I asked him, I said, what do you get asked about the most? And he says, well, 50 Ways, and that solo for Steely Dan, and, he'd say, oh, Ricky Lee Jones. And I remember going... But he was really polite, and we talked about the songs mostly of that album, and I really wasted that interview. I should have asked him. I mean, I'm sure I could get him again, but it was my fault. I should have asked him about other stuff.
Have you ever seen a documentary about David Crosby, Remember My Name?
I've got it in our PVR. I haven't watched it, but I haven't watched it yet. I've actually got it on twice, so...
If you could go back, John, and see in time and see one concert, who would you see and why?
Well, I didn't see Boston, and I wish I would have seen Boston. I was telling Jim Mestia, their original drummer, who gave us a private concert, gave Chase, my son, and I a private concert. He was playing Hitchin' a Ride, which he does not play on the album, but originally he did play on all those songs. He only plays on Rock and Roll Band. And then he came back for Third Stage. But I was telling him that. He says, what? You never saw Boston? He says, I said, I could have seen you in concert because he toured the Third Stage. He was a drummer for Third Stage, and he played half the album, and Sid played the other half. But in concert, Jim was and he lives in Boston. He sounds like he's from Boston. I'm not even doing the Boston accent right. So I wish I would have seen Boston. And there's a few other bands that I've not seen that I had a chance to. Saw Billy Joel twice. I loved that. Saw Elton John twice. But that's it.
Do you have any favorite Christmas rock songs from David?
A lot of them aren't really good, the rock songs. Do you have any? Like, Step Into Christmas. We're all having a wonderful... I can't sing. I can't sing at all. They're all kind of half songs, the rockers. I like Steve Lukather's stuff. Steve's a real talent.
What are some of your favorite classic rock albums ever? From M. Moses.
Well, Elton John's not necessarily rock, but Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, Captain Fantastic, Boston One is, Machine Head by Deep Purple, Pink Floyd. I like the ones that everyone likes. I like Almagama, though, and not everyone picks Almagama.
Oh my gosh,
Careful with that axe, Eugene.
Music Man says you're a good singer.
No.
No, you want a good singer? I'm a great singer.
She can't sing at all.
Not honestly, I can't at all. Not
But
even
she
a
knows she can't sing, so when she sings, it's cute.
Oh, thanks.
Anybody ever see the movie About a Boy with Hugh Grant? Is it Hugh Grant? Is that his name?
Yes.
And there's a girl in there, and she's a popular actress. I forget. She's in all those scary movies now. She sings pretty on the piano, like with her son, and he's kind of really uncomfortable because she's singing pretty as if she can sing. That's uncomfortable. That's... I once told Shannon's sister to stop singing in a car. It was not very nice of me. I should have said that. Because Shannon, she's a better singer, but she sings a lot in the car, and that's a pet peeve of mine. I always want to tell the person, shut up, don't stop singing. It's kind of like watching that Christmas commercial with Anna Kendrick. You want to go, stop it! Stop singing!
So I think anybody in the car singing would be a bad idea for you.
I've been in cars with people who could really sing, with artists, and that's a little different when they're warming up. So.
Gotcha. Do you like Madman Across the Water from Elton?
Favorite album of all time. There you go. I love Madman. It's the first album I ever bought. First one, and this is how little I knew at the time. I thought Madman Across the Water was, I'm going to sing again.
Oh, no.
Madman Across the Water. Water. I thought it was Admiral Halsey. When I heard Madman Across the Water, I just assumed it was that song. That I assumed that person was singing "Madman Across the Water" by Paul McCartney. That's how ridiculous it was. And I remember because I was, I was in my early teens, and I bought it thinking that it was Elton John who sang that song. And then I bought it, and it was something completely different, and I loved it. I was, like I said, the first I still have that actual copy. I've got an album autographed by Elton John. I didn't get it. I bought it on eBay, and I got from a friend the album autographed by most of the players who played on the album. What the heck is that?
Have you read the America biography that came out this year?
No, but Kathy Valentine's book, The Go-Go's guitarist, her book was one of the best rock books I've ever read in my life. All I Ever Wanted, it's called, a rock and roll biography. Her life before she got into the Go-Go's, it's worth it just for that. I highly recommend her book. Oh, I think I pissed her off at the end of the interview because I said we were talking about, they didn't like their performance on Saturday Night Live, and I said during the interview, I don't think Chase kept it in there. I said, "Do you ever see the first Spice Girls performance?" And she says, "No." I said, "Well, don't feel bad. Watch that one." And then she cut off the interview right after that. But she was so nice, and it's okay. Sometimes you say something, I didn't mean anything by it, but the Spice Girls performance on SNL was really bad. And I thought their performance on Saturday Night Live, the Go-Go's, was fine. I didn't have any problem with it, which I told her. But she was also getting really hungry, and she kept saying, "We can talk until I get hungry." And I went, "That's a good deal."
John, do you think Tony Lewis kind of reminds you of Brad Delp of Boston?
Well, I've said that in the interview, and a lot of people said, "What are you talking about?" And everyone's right when it comes to music. If you don't see it, the second I heard them, the Outfield, I thought they're doing a kind of a post-punk version of Boston. The vocals are mixed like Brad Delp's vocals are mixed. And I don't know how anybody couldn't see that. I mean, to me, I thought, oh my God, they're doing a kind of a trippy, punkish, version of Boston. Not that they tried to sound like Boston, but the vocals sound like Boston.
Rumor has it Gene Simmons and Shannon Tweed reside permanently in Whistler now. Their LA digs are on the market. You're in BC. You should drive up and interview him. Better yet,
I'm on radio in BC, but we live in Calgary. I voice track the show in Vancouver, and we met in Vancouver because I moved there in 1989. When did you move to Vancouver?
89, 90.
You would have been too young though. Like I said, she was 27. I was 37.
I just graduated from high school. There you go.
No, you're 27.
No, in 89.
No. But in 97.
In 97, I was 26. You say 89 though. You first moved there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm talking about.
And I went there in 90. But I didn't know you till much later.
People always say if you can go back in time and do things, and I'm going, if I did one thing differently and had never met Shannon, like our son rolls his eyes all the time because we're always doing googly things to each other, googly eye stuff.
And he does roll his eyes a lot.
Yeah, he's 17. He's part of the software, all part of the service. I'm 17. Our son is an amazing kid. We love our son. He's just an amazing kid. He's handled COVID really, really well.
Yeah.
Gotten a girlfriend during COVID. Who does that? Come on.
So is Danica. She's really.
She's
really,
autistic, but she's a cool
really,
kid.
really
Every 2 weeks she has
adjustable.
a grand mal seizure, a biggie. And the dog, this guy here, always senses it before she goes into convulsions. He always sees it, and that's kind of an amazing thing. By the way, what time is it here?
7:30.
Okay.
Have you ever interviewed Blackie Lawless from WASP or anyone from Quiet Riot?
Well, Frankie Benelli, I interviewed him, of course. It was on our channel. I asked him, "Is it still Quiet Riot?" And he gave me a really good answer. He says, "Well, there's a lot of bands that are out there that are just playing on one member or no members of the original lineup or the classic lineup." I always look at the classic lineup when it comes to a band, not necessarily the original lineup, because not all bands hit their stride. The Moody Blues, even Deep Purple, they changed. Those two bands in the beginning didn't sound like they did. Like Moody Blues, after Denny Lane left, were a different band. You know, they evolved. So I always look at classic lineups, and Deep Purple's very much like that.
James says our son got a girlfriend during COVID. Also, we asked the same question.
He's got game. That's because he's got game. Your son's got game. We love Chase's girlfriend. She's like part of our family. She's such a sweet girl.
Have you ever interviewed Stuart?
Oh, Copeland.
Yeah.
No, I've tried before. And I was just talking to Kathy Valentine about Stuart because he's part of their documentary that just came out. And speaking of doing research just before the interview, I watched the Go-Go's documentary just the night before the interview because I needed fresh in my mind. But Stuart, I've tried. Chase, what's that police song you did? Death Wish? Chase, is he sleeping? Chase!
I don't know, washroom maybe?
I don't know. I think it's Death Wish, I'm pretty sure. I love that song.
Orbitson, Jim says, if I could send both of you back in time to experience one concert, it would be a Boston concert back in the day with front row seats sitting in front of Brad Delp. I won't even say why.
Oh, Brad Delp. I was
He nailed it for you.
Yeah, I was on my way to trying to track him down. I don't know what stage I was at because I bought the URL Brad Delp tribute when he died because I was just going to just delve in Brad Delp stuff when he passed away, and I got a hold of Barry Goudreau. Tom Scholz was unattainable. It was just a hard thing. When I talked to Jim Mastia, I don't know if it's Mastia. I'm not even sure if I asked him. The original drummer for Boston, and we talked about the events leading up to Brad's death, and it's weird when you're talking to someone who actually knew him incredibly well. And we talked about Beetlejuice, Brad's tribute to Beatles band, and my heart hurts because I wanted to be Brad Delp. Even though I'm a drummer, I wanted to be a guy who sounded like that. He's one of my all-time vocalists. So is Joseph Williams of Toto, but Brad was. I thought if I could sound like anybody, I want to sound like Brad Delp. Even though no one sounds like Brad Delp because I was very overproduced vocals, but he sounded pretty damn good in concert too.
Well, before we wrap it up here, who is your Holy Grail interview?
Well, one of them was this year with John Anderson. I tried for him before, but the publicist that got me John Anderson I'd worked with, it's not necessarily this way because one of the companies that I work with, they send me new artists all the time, and I never interview their new artists because it's not what I do, right? And now and then they'll give me an old artist, and I get most of them because we're going to hit 75,000 subscribers in less than a month, and that's pretty good. We'll reach 100,000 before the end of the year, and we'll get our little plate hopefully from if I don't get hit by a bus from YouTube. Oh, she gets all emotional when I say that. She's a good one. She's real good. So John Anderson was one. Talking to Steve Hackett over and over again, that's just cool. Talking to Kim Mitchell, the Canadian, I'm just talking about this year. That was really, really cool. Whenever I talk to any member of the Elton John band, I've talked to a few of them or people who know Elton John. The Randy Meisner interview, I didn't know it at the time necessarily because I was really busy doing a lot of interviews then. And Randy was just another one. And I didn't research enough for that interview. If you heard the whole interview, you understand. And I can't even listen to my early interviews. Just tons. I have hundreds of interviews I did in the 80s that if I listened to them, Chase would have to edit them because I sound like a chipmunk. And one of the things I'm not in an interview now is nervous. I'm never nervous. Like I said, Bill Bruford, I was a little nervous for that one. I got self-conscious during the interview, even though nothing bad happened. I just kind of went, oh my God, I'm talking to Bill Bruford. But it's rare. It's rare. So I'm not nervous at all when I talk to people, like even a bit.
Greg, thank you all for doing this live. So good. Really appreciate
Thanks,
you, John. And I'm glad Shannon's definitely assisting you. Cheers.
Excuse me. It's a lot better because if I'm trying to read, this is an iPhone. But I'm trying to read them like this all the time, and no one wants. Hey, like I'm not pretty
So
close
it's
up
better
at
to
all.
have me sitting beside him, looking down on my iPad here and helping him with some of the questions.
I remember someone when we were doing, I think Steve Vaccaro, and someone had written in our thing, "Why is she there?" I'm going, "Hey, why would you even say that? You know, it's not like I decide, oh, I'm going to put my wife in all my videos, like just the."
But I know Steve, so that is actually
Yeah, she actually knows him. So anyway, but only one person said that. But I remember going, why would someone like really? Like she's reading the questions. And it's a lot easier this way to have two people on there, and she's not exactly hard to look at. And I'm going, and yeah, and Steve was very happy to see you there. He said, "Oh, Shannon," because we'd just seen him
in Vancouver. At the concert there,
a
yeah.
year before.
So that was really nice to connect again.
But if you're going to do videos like that, you got to accept, because if someone says, you look like a fucking, and they'll get banned right away. Because I'm going, why would you? Okay, you're obviously not going to watch my videos. I'm not going to allow a comment like that on my channel. But I mean, some people do, and I always applaud the people who do. I'm going, they got thicker skin than me. The thing that helps me is because I've been in radio so many years, and even though I haven't had a lot of complaints through the years, but you get thick skin after a while. I just sounded like I don't have thick skin. Wait a minute. Hi, Cookie. I call her Cookie.
I think that's a wrap.
Thanks, everybody. Whatever we do, it's a wrap. There's like 5 more minutes of like, hey, see you later. High five. Kumbaya.
Happy New Year to you, kids. Shannon, you're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thanks.
Please keep Shannon on. Ha ha. Thanks, Greg.
I just said thanks, excuse.
Love the two of you guys. Some people just going to hate. Keep up the good work.
Well, I don't like the term haters will hate, because I always go, I get in. I'll never do one of these when I'm in a bad mood, because I go on there and I'll say, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Or, but I know better. And it's like when you're performing, you just got to do it. And, Shannon's doesn't always feel like doing this because Shannon was sick. She had a 24-hour flu, her and her son last night. You guys were down and out.
Yeah, but back and at it again. But yeah, it was weird. It just kind of came down. And
I just said, drink some scotch and you'll be okay. Drink a little scotch. Everything will be fine.
On that note, Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year, everybody. Thanks for coming on.
Appreciate your
Thanks
time,
for the folks who
always.
super chatted us. We appreciate that.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that, but when you do, we appreciate it.
Much appreciated.
And we may come on. I didn't feel like releasing a video today. We've got like 5 more for Kathy Valentine coming up. They're all stacked, ready to roll. I can't put them on too fast because then you can't put out too much of an artist. It just doesn't work, and that's the way I look at it. The dogs want to say, okay, hold on. Look at this. There, can you? Oh no, he's right over here. See, that's a cockapoo. Broody.
And there's this one over here.
And then there's this one over here.
On my lap.
This is Romy, and I like making you seasick. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Anyway, see you guys.
Thank you so
I have to
much.
put my finger on here because I have to end.